right, so next on our list, we've got
Probably the most normal guy.
yeah. It's
In
kind
this
of
army.
it's not necessarily hard to explain the guy. It's just there's not much to say
Well,
about him.
no, it's not so much that. There is a lot to say about him. It's just he's definitely the most average of the soldiers.
Yeah, and that will be Stahl.
Yes, green-haired stall. Like it may not seem like there's a whole lot to him. Like the first time I played, I didn't find him that interesting. I didn't use him, but when I did start using him, I found that yeah, there is actually a lot more to him. He is just your genuine average guy. Like he has no extremes. But if anything, probably one of his most notable assets is, if anything, just how courteous he is. Just in general, how modest he is. Like, in fact, one of his biggest things, and I believe Lissa actually got onto him about this. Like, he will purposefully help people out, but then deny that he ever helped them.
Okay.
Like, he just likes to see people happy. That's all he cares about.
Yeah, and it's like I know like one of his big character traits that you often see like in combat and everything. The guy likes to eat and sleep.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like they even make a point, like even with his character design, like they specifically note his hairstyle. It's supposed to look like he literally rolled out of bed.
Yeah. But in general, he's just a guy who likes to. He like in fact, it's with another character who gets onto him about not really having any real goals in mind for himself. Like he doesn't have any real dreams, and this character just gets on and on to him about it until eventually she's just like, you know what? I found out a dream for you. Your dream is to help other people. Okay. He just likes to help others. That's just his basic thing.
Right. And it's like I do remember though that like I guess like as far as like when it comes to the endings, if you don't end up pairing up Stall with anybody, it does say, however, that because he's very modest, because he's very placid, and maybe like a little bit scatterbrained, just a very nice and approachable guy. He after the war and everything, he does end up becoming like a big hero in the kingdom because so many people like this guy.
Yeah, and actually, you mentioned Scatterbrain. There's another character later on who isn't human. I'll bring up that much, and then that's it. But this character is eating something that's actually poisonous to humans, and like she's telling this to Crom, or not Crom, Stall. But Stall just starts eating it. He's just not even paying attention. Just starts eating it, and then owns up and almost ends up getting himself killed because of it until she saves him. So.
Aww.
So he is rather scatterbrained, but yeah, he's just genuinely a nice guy.
Okay.
So yeah, like because he's the most average, we probably just don't have as much to say about him. Like we said, he's very likable. I mean, he's not annoying, but he's just average. That's just the best way to describe him.
Okay.
All right. So moving on to one of the most over the top characters.
My lady, I may never take my eyes off you again, unless I'm about to run into a wall.
Enter the Vaike.
That's his name, Vaike.
Yes.
Vaike.
Okay.
Yes,
Just making sure about that one.
Vaike is a very full of himself, over-the-top character who thinks he's just so much more than he really is. But in reality, he does have some room to gloat because he is a very impressive human being in his own rights. But because of that, he's a little bit I guess I wouldn't say self-loving. Like what's the word? Like because of just how
conceited.
Conceited. That's it. Yeah. Like he talks about himself in the third person. He refers to other people as like his pupils. Like he calls himself the teach. Like he has things to teach other people. And I think it's really because of these characteristics that I found out he's actually one of the least liked characters in the game because of that.
Which is kind of weird because I actually like him. Like,
I really like him. He's still despite him being conceited, he's still very likable. In fact, you find that out in a lot of his supports. Like, you know what? And I'll bring this up in a bit. Danny, what do you have to say? Like,
one of his big things that I know is if you do if you do the relationship with Crom, he specifically sees Crom as his biggest rival.
Yeah.
So because it's like, and Vaike grew up on the streets, whereas Crom grew up in a castle and everything. But to Vaike, class doesn't matter. He sees Crom. He sees he doesn't see, the Prince of Elise or anything. He sees a leader and he sees a man on the battlefield and he's like, you're the strongest man I know. I want to prove myself against you, so we're going to fucking fight.
Despite the fact that Vaike never wins.
Yeah, and, Crom is like, are you kidding me and everything? But that's the whole point. He's like, I see you as a strong person and I truly admire that. And I want to prove myself by beating the strongest person I know.
Vaike is also
I think that speaks volumes about his character.
Vaike is also is probably the first pervert you recruit because because his support was Robin is hysterical because Robin finds Vaike trying to peek in on Sully taking a bath.
Oh God!
But then they get attacked by her horse.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Vaike tries to peek in on Sully taking a bath. Robin catches him and tries to get him away, but then her horse catches them and chases after him in a demonic rage.
That's great.
Oh my God.
Right. And it's and another thing I know with him, if you look into it, his the relationship with Tharja, he kind of knows.
Hey.
What?
You said her name.
Who gives a fuck?
Girl.
Who cares? We're gonna talk about her anyway. But basically, when he goes into when you do the relationship, one of the things that it's kind of funny because he obsesses over the fact that he's like, why does she like Robin so much? What the hell does she see in Robin? And he obsesses over it. He's trying to figure out why the hell does she like Robin so much?
Oh boy.
But I would say
we'll get into that later. Though.
We've pretty much talked about a lot of Vaike's faults, but he does have a lot of good sides to it. Obviously, one of his most notable is with the character that I mentioned before, who isn't human. This character is very loner-like, but Vaike makes it his goal to essentially just keep her company. And one of Vaike's, I feel like one of his best traits is just the fact that he just wants to see people happy is really his biggest thing.
All right then.
He doesn't like seeing people alone. He doesn't like seeing people fighting their own problems. He wants to help them, and the way he normally helps them is in his own conceited way, trying to say, "Hey, you got Vaike here. Why? What are you doing? Why are you so lonely?"
I mean, just why? Yeah, I don't know.
So yeah. I do like Vaike. He's a very fun character.
He is.
He's very forgettable. I mean, despite how conceited he is, the very first battle you ever bring him in, he forgets his axe.
Right.
That's the thing
which I found funny.
So yeah. That being said, anything else about Vaike?
I think we.
No, I think I've.
Yeah, to me, it's I've used him in relationships. There's not a whole lot of them that really stand out.
But the ones that do stand out, they stand out.
Yeah. There was one that I know you actually convinced me to try, and I have to admit, yeah, it did become one of my favorites, along with, Crom and Robin, the one with Varian that I brought up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one was very, very cute.
Yep. All right. So with that being said, I guess we will move on to Miss Walking Dictionary herself.
All right.
This has got to be the first time I've ever rated someone else first. Is this love? The Vaike is stunned.
Yes, that being said, next we will bring up Muriel.
Yeah, Muriel is, I guess you can say, your official starting mage, if you want to call it.
Muriel is she's probably the most intelligent of the characters that you recruit. But at the same time, that's probably her biggest fault because she's very antisocial. She sees everything as an experiment.
Yeah, like very scientific.
Yeah, there's a lot of things she doesn't really understand. Like even the most basic customs, like marriage, it takes explaining for her to really understand. But yeah, she's essentially antisocial. It's hard to say that's even a good word to use because she has no problem speaking with people, but it's like she doesn't know how to speak to them. Well, not necessarily. It's not so much. I keep using wrong. She's just hard to explain. 'Cause it's like she talks to people, but she uses such convoluted and big words that no one's ever heard of that they don't understand what she's saying half the time. That's probably the best way to describe it.
Yeah, and it's like we said, she approaches things very scientifically. Not like, she treats everybody like guinea pigs, but it'll be like, if she sees something fascinating, she's gonna try and run different kinds of tests to, try and like figure all that out. She's one of those characters that's like, there are mysteries in the world, and she wants to be the one to figure them all out.
Yeah, like an example of this would be with Stahl. Like she witnesses Stahl he was like doing some exercises, and like all of a sudden she got the idea. I wonder what our human capability is of doing these exercises. Stahl, do you mind doing as much of these as you can until you just fucking pass out? So
he's like, oh, okay. And then
because Stahl is so helpful, he just goes along with it, even though he's wearing himself out.
Right, and then it turns out, like, at the very end, because I actually did do this relationship, and, it turns out, like, at the very end, where he's like, okay, so how'd I do? He's like, well, you're right, you are average. He's like, yeah, I kind of figured. And she's like, but you're average because you inspired everybody to kick it in the high gear. So now they're improving, and you kind of stayed in the middle.
But even then, it's like I know you guys don't really care for Muriel that much, but one of the things I find most fascinating about her is she's a character who, through the support conversations, just learns how to be more human. Like a big example of this, my favorite support with her is her and Frederick, because with this one, it's like she witnesses how Frederick can move in a fight and how just how graceful he is, and she questions this, and Frederick's just like, you got to work with your instincts, you can't use your head, use your heart, use your gut, use your instincts, and Muriel doesn't understand this. So essentially Frederick just takes Muriel like just doing just these wilderness stuff, like climbing trees, getting beehives and all the such, and eventually it's like Muriel finally understands this, and it's to the point where it's like, okay, So Muriel is one of those characters where it's like she just learns how to be more human throughout the supports.
I mean, it's like, I like Muriel. I think my thing, though, is I rarely ever use her in battle. I mean, it's like you get way better mages later on, and even like starting out, I don't know about you guys, but with Robin, I always played Robin more on the magic side. So it's like, well, I'm pretty much the mage from the very beginning. So it's like you got me to rely on, but then you'll get the other mages later on that are really good. So it's like the only time I ever really use Muriel is if I want her to fart out her baby.
Ew.
All right, so I guess for now we're good with Muriel. So we'll move next to Miss Trips-a-Lot.
Oh God.
What rapture, to have an astute, significant other with whom to scrutinize this world's illimitable mysteries.
Yep, that being Soumya.
Yeah, Soumya is, I think probably, if anything, the biggest thing with her is, she is one of the relationships that Crom can end up with. I think the game, like, if they were ever to canonize the story or whatever, like suspend reality and say, okay, we're going to do an anime adaptation of Fire Emblem Awakening. That means we're going to have to canonize relationships and stuff. I think, they try and make it very clear in cutscenes and stuff that the obvious choice for Crom would be Soumya.
Yeah, actually. Right. Because, Soumya is the first character we see who has an obvious crush on Crom. Like she gets she's already a very clumsy character who just in general trips a lot, but she tends to trip even more on Crom. She blushes whenever he's around. She tries her best just to get close to him, mm-hmm. and There's an establishing cutscene actually when right before she joins your party. She finds a Pegasus, and she's like really good with animals, so she was able to like tame a wild Pegasus, and she immediately saved Crom from being essentially impaled by flying lances. And it just, and like even like the name of that cutscene is like, love birds of fly. It's just like like the game tries to establish that that Soumya is like, even like in the beginning cutscene of the game when you first started out, it shows Crom with Soumya. So it's kind of assumed, it's just to be assumed that Soumya is like the obvious choice for Crom.
Yeah, which is why it seemed that way, which is why I actually led the relationship between Sumia and Crom to actually go the way it did. But
the first time I played the game, I ended up pairing Crom with Sumia.
Right, but didn't you say that there was another specific character who I believe could have been canonized, if that's a real word, with Crom?
Well, I don't remember. We'll get to that later, I suppose.
Do you know who I'm talking about?
I don't. I mean, I don't at this time. But back to Soumya.
Right.
Sumia's biggest traits is like she's apparently the most beautiful of the female knights. She's said to have the biggest heart. She's I guess similar to Stahl. She's a very big helper, but at the same time, whereas Stahl helps and typically succeeds, when Sumia tries to help, she tends to mess a lot of things up.
Yeah. And that's like really where I think like a lot of her character trait really comes into play. And, even like when you do the relationship with her and Crom, she tries to be like, I guess you can say like, the perfect woman, the perfect housewife, despite her clumsiness.
Yeah.
And apparently that means I'm going to bake you a fuck ton of pies.
So I will say, like, the proposal between Crom and Soumya is much more romantic. If you wait till after Chapter 11, if you don't marry Crom to anyone and wait till after Chapter 11, when Soumya has the most relationship with him, because that's the point where Soumya will run onto the battlefield and just hug Crom because he's safe, and then right there, Crom just confesses her love for him. So if you want to get a true like romantic, touching proposal between Crom and Soumya, be sure that they have the highest relationship, but don't marry them until after Chapter 11. So.
Okay, I'll have to try that because it's kind of weird because it's like Soumya is like Crom. She doesn't have a lot of people. She's very limited when it comes to potential husbands, and it's like despite the fact that it really looks like the game was pushing for Crom and Soumya. Doing that whole support thing with her making them pies all the time and everything. I was like, I personally found that to be really boring.
I found it that way too, but I think the developers knew that, which is probably why they ended up stretching the cutscenes. I think the biggest reason why they showed those cutscenes to show that Soumya just has this big crush on Crom, and that Crom kind of shows some feelings back in the cutscene, was just to establish the fact that you can build the relationship between the characters that far.
Okay. And that's like, personally, like, I guess, like, as far as relationships with Soumya, I personally like her with Frederick.
I like that one too, because that kind of goes back to what I was saying before, how whenever she tries to help, she messes a lot of things up. Like she wants to be a better knight for Crom, whenever a character tries to better themselves, they typically go to Frederick for that, because he's like the biggest role model. So Soumya tries doing that, and she tries asking Frederick, okay, what can I do to be the better knight? Because you're just this great person, getting up early every day, being this, just doing all these cool stuff. What can I do to help? So whenever Frederick gives her these jobs, she somehow always finds a way to screw it up. So.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was like, I really like that relationship.
All right. So, that being said, I guess we said our piece on Soumya. So next up, let's go to dear, what was his name again? Oh my.
Uh-oh.
It's so nice to feel special for once, to love someone more than anything in the world, and have them love me back.
Oh yeah, Kellam.
Oh yeah, that guy.
That being said, with all this here, joking aside.
Yeah, Ryan has no idea what the fuck we're talking about. But
Of course.
yeah, the big joke with Kellam is that nobody notices him.
Yeah, and it's so ironic because Callum is a knight that wears just this big, shining, hulking armor. He makes such loud noise whenever he passes by, but no one seems to know that he's there. They just forget about him altogether. They forget him when doing morning roll calls. He can be standing right there and no one will see him until he actually says something. Or even if he does say something, no one just notices that he's there. It's just the big joke. So, and I actually do like Callum a lot. He's a very defensive character, and he has a great personality overall too. Very similar to Stahl. He's a character that just wants to help out. So,
right.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, well, I mean that's like that whole joke with the fact that nobody remembers him. That even goes with the ending. Like he's probably got one of the funniest and yet the cruelest endings if you don't marry him off with anybody.
Oh yeah, it's like what was it like? Soon after the war, Callum went to go on a journey on his own to discover himself. It took 3 years for anyone to notice anyone was ever gone.
That's
no.
harsh.
I think it's actually even more cruel if you actually do marry him off to someone, because they describe the wife, but then it says like in one sentence after they describe the wife, her husband's name was lost to history.
I cannot get a fucking break.
It's actually funny because he goes on about wishing that he can be noticed, but it turns out secretly he's actually really proud of it. So
he actually likes the fact that nobody notices him.
Yeah,
it's kind of weird because usually it's like you're so accustomed to, you watch an anime or play a game where nobody notices the character, and that's the thing they always wish they like. I want someone to notice me, and he's the complete opposite.
Like, well, he says that he wants to be noticed, but yeah, he actually likes not being noticed, mostly because he enjoys being stealthy and stuff like that. He says like it gives him like an advantage on the battlefield, which is actually funny because if you give him a support with Stahl points out, he says, Callum, on the battlefield, you're so cool and collected. How do you do it? And Callum's first reaction is like, wait a second, you saw me on the battlefield? Oh crap, that probably means that enemies can see me too. Thanks, Stahl. He's like, no problem. Hey, wait, my question.
Yeah. It kind of begs the question why they decided to make Kellam a knight and not have him be like like the thief ninja class.
Clearly because of the irony. It's like in fact Muriel even brings it up with the support with her, because he appears out of nowhere with Miriel and she's like, how can someone wearing this shining armor and this hulking body, how can we not see you? It's like it's just for an ironic joke.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's like, I admit he is another one of those characters I don't use too often just because I've got Frederick. So it's like, yeah, I probably do miss out on some more meaningful conversation.
It's like jokes aside with Callum. He is a very nice guy. Like in general, he likes to help out. I don't really recall a lot of really any time where he asks for help. Normally he is the one helping. Like he genuinely, likes to go around. Like in fact, one of the cutest ones actually is with the girl that you mentioned. You thought was cute with Virion, because she's a shy girl, and like when eventually when Kellam proposes to her, she gets really embarrassed about it, but that she loves him, and Kellam's just like, well, don't worry about it. If you ever get too shy, I'll just step away, and he will be like, I'm not even there. So yeah, it's really cute.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's also important to note though that throughout the game there are a couple of characters where the only way you can recruit them is if you have Crom talk to them on the battlefield,
right.
And if you don't let that happen, you lose the chance of getting this character. Kellam is the first one like this.
Yeah, and that goes partially back to the joke that no one notices, and because while technically he did go along with them the whole time to help out, it took till just when they get to their destination to realize that he was even there. So,
Right.
So yeah, it's like,
But he does kind of have that quasi little requirement. I mean, it's pretty obvious, but it's like at the same time, I mean, there were like a couple of characters, like I know like the first time we played through, there were a couple of characters that are like that, where it's like, oh, I didn't know I had to.
Yeah, there was a few I missed my first time around because of that.
Callum though, is fairly obvious. So it's like, I talked to him and I got him right away from the get-go.
Yeah. So I think one of my funny, like, we sort of find out why Callum can't be seen all that often, because it's
really?
like, I forget who we talked to for this, but it's like, well, if you want to stand out more, you should really just try standing out more. And Callum responds, "You're right. Maybe I should stop standing sideways and in the shadows and behind barrels." So
Yeah.
that's what Callum replies. But all right, so I guess moving on. We'll go on to our underdog that ends up probably one of the most broken characters in the game.
Oh, I actually like this character.
There we go.
You make me feel like I'm really here. Like I mean something. I am yours. Forever.
Yeehaw!
Yep, we have Larry the Cable Guy.
Dang
Except anorexic Larry the Cable Guy.
Oh,
Who wears a flannel
jeez.
set.
Yeah,
Wow, he really let himself go.
Otherwise known as Donnell.
Or Donnie, whichever you prefer.
Yeah,
Donnie.
which is actually one of my favorite characters in Fire Emblem Awakening.
Well, of course he's one of your favorites. He's like the most broken character in the game.
But not only that, like his backstory and the way his character development is just—it's pretty good.
Okay, well here's the thing with Donnell. Donnell's starting class is Villager. The Villager class is literally the weakest class in the whole game. They do shit damage. They have shit defense. I mean, they just suck. However, they also have a nice little skill called what was it? What's the skill called? Was it
You're not thinking aptitude?
Aptitude. Yeah.
Oh, it is aptitude.
I think it's aptitude. But yeah, you have this nice little skill that basically means that whenever that character levels up, they gain a couple of extra stat bonuses. And when you have Donnell, when you get him up to about level 10 is when you can finally change him out from Villager into another class. You put him in like a physical class, like a mercenary or a fighter or something like that, he can easily become one of your powerhouses just because of that skill alone.
Yes, Donnell he's definitely the rising star. He starts out I call him the magic carpet of the group. He's very weak at first, and then he evolves.
And God help you if he passes that skill on to his kid, because then that kid is going to be even more broken than him. So, I mean, it's like, I actually did have that happen to me in one game, where it was like the kid ended up being like the big tank of my army.
Yes, but that being said, in terms of Donnell himself, Donnell is like I said, he's a farmer. He's a villager. He has a hick accent. He's
Hence why I called him Larry the Cable Guy.
Yeah, he is. He's like he's definitely the lowest of rank in terms of all the characters. But he's also the most respectable. Like he's one of the youngest. Like even Lissa calls him like his little brother. But like he's also very helpful. He tries to do a lot of handiwork, like getting food, like preparing a lot of food, like catching the game, and all that other stuff. But even he's even respected by like the higher class nobles. Like another one we'll get to eventually. Like even Muriel, like Muriel offers to tutor him, and she says that he's like one of her most exceptional students. Like he is very smart. So
yeah, and it's actually kind of interesting when you recruit him, because again, I guess this really shows Crom's understanding is his farming village and everything has pretty much been overrun by brigands, and he's like, I need help. And, Crom is like, okay, you come with us. And he's like, I'm just a farmer. What the I don't know. I'm not a knight. I'm not a soldier. I can't fight. And he's like, do you know how to use, like, a pitchfork and everything? Yeah. He's like, that's a weapon. So it's like, it really kind of shows you how understanding Crom can be, because he pretty much, like, he helps, like, encourage Donnell to take up arms and fighting, even though he only knows how to use farming equipment.
And then even afterwards, like after Crom and like Donnell and all the group like save like Donnie's family and his mother, like Crom was ready to leave, and Donnell's like, wait, is it okay if I come with you? I want to become strong. I want to become stronger so I can come back and defend my village, like, so this will never happen again. Of course, Donnie's mother is like, mind your, like, you fool boy, this is our prince you're talking about, mind your manners. And Crom's like, I would love for you to come with us, Donnie. It's like, you've shown you're very capable, and I will accept your request. So yeah, kind of not only showing more of Crom's understanding and humanistic side, but just showing how Donnie wants to grow as a character as well. So
yeah.
So yeah, and then like in terms of other supports, yeah, Donnie pretty much it's a matter of Donnie helping, like, again, he's another one that that likes to help out a lot. He but he's one that learns, like, as he speaks with his fellow soldiers, but then he's also one that likes to like tend and make their lives easier. So yeah, Donnie's a cool guy.
Yep.
Okay.
Right, anything else for Donnie?
Nope. I think I've learned a lot about Donnie.
Okay. So next up, one of my personal favorites.
I love you. I don't reckon I could live without you. Let's you and me settle down on the farm.